Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Public Works Podcast. My name is Joseph Blackman. Today, I got a real treat for you. Her name is Stephanie Prescott. She is the Regional Municipal and Inspection Sales Rep for Jack Doheny Company. Stephanie, say what's up to everybody.
Hi, everyone. Good morning
All right,
or
so
afternoon, I
Stephanie,
guess.
yeah, depending where you're at. So you're the Regional Municipal and Inspection Sales Rep. It's a long title. We got to dig deeper into it. We kind of got to break it apart and figure out exactly what you do and what you're
Yeah.
about and what you got going. So first off, let's talk about Jack Doheny Company. What is it? What do you guys do with it? We'll get more to your position and more of your backstory.
Yeah, Jack Doheny Company is a supplier of municipal and commercial wastewater equipment, industrial equipment, aerial equipment, vacuum truck equipment, rental house for lots of different products. We specialize in a bunch of different brands, and we're a national company. We've got 16 locations across the United States. Started out selling sewer equipment and kind of went from there. So, yeah.
How long have you been with Jack Doheny Company?
4 years last month. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice. All right, now let's go into what you kind of your career trajectory, your career path. I mean, you're in municipal sales. It was the 15, 18-year-old Stephanie, was she looking down manholes and looking in sewers and inspecting stuff, or how did you get into the industry?
If I was, it wasn't because I shouldn't have been anyways if I was. So no, I have been doing this for 17 years. I've been selling municipal sewer equipment and products for 17 years now. I started in my early 20s, and it's not something that I thought I'd be doing. I was going to school when I got into the industry, and kind of it was a part-time thing that turned into a full-time thing. And now 17 years later, I'm still kind of in the same product category and selling the same tools to the same people. So
It's so interesting. Once you get in this industry, you get that knowledge, that knowledge base that it's hard to leave and still make decent money. Because once you learn the skill set, it sticks with you, and then you learn the names, you learn the players. It's hard to leave and think you're going to go start somewhere else and
I really can't. I don't think I could see myself ever doing something non-wastewater related. I really don't. So
you're stuck in wastewater.
Stuck in the sewer. So
all right. So you've been with Doheny for 4 years. You've been in the industry for 17 years. What would you say? Like, let's say a young girl's coming out of high school or college, and she's like, "Hey, Stephanie, like, what skill set should I, get to be good at what you're doing today?" What would you tell her?
I definitely think you got to be willing to work hard. So I would think being a woman in this industry I personally believe it's not as easy as being a man in this industry. So for women, I think you got to work 3 times as hard as what men do in order to earn your keep. So I will say over the last so many years, just watching so many women start to get involved and become wastewater operators. I mean, we historically have seen a lot of women in engineering roles and things like that. But as far as like coming in as an operations level, I'm really starting to see so many young women out there running cameras and sewer trucks. So I've been really excited about that. But overall, I think you have to be willing to work harder than some of your male counterparts.
Gotcha. So hard work. Yeah. Let's kind of go into that a little deeper.
Yeah.
You're a woman in a male dominated industry. What did your family and friends say when you first got in the industry? Like, well, you're selling, wastewater products, you're selling heavy equipment. Like, what were those first conversations like? And then over the years, what have you noticed that has helped you succeed in stuff that might hold you back while you're out in the field?
Yeah, I still think my family really has no idea what I do. So, oh, sewer, oh, it's trucks, or it's heavy equipment, oh, she sells trucks. And I don't think that they could point out a truck on the road. I'll just tell you a quick story. This week, I drove with my mom to Las Vegas. We went to a concert, and on the way to Las Vegas, I constantly see one of my Jack Doheny trucks that I probably have sold coming back and forth on the 15. And I'm like, oh, there's my truck. And she's looking at me like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, these are the trucks that I sell. So she still can't really recognize it, even though that I'm pointing it out to her while we're driving. But that's actually pretty cool to do because, hey, I sold that piece of equipment that's driving down the street. So, yeah. But I really don't think people look at it and understand, okay, that's a sewer cleaner, no matter how much you talk about it, or that's a camera that goes in the sewer. They just have no idea. So kind of out of sight, out of mind.
Totally. My wife at cocktail parties will say, "Oh, he sells poop trucks." It's like I'm the poop truck salesman. Love it.
That's
Love it.
perfect. That's perfect. Yeah.
And so, over your years, I mean, what have you noticed being a woman? What have you, I guess, what are some tips or tricks for women besides
Yeah.
the hard work, like things that are
Yeah.
tactical,
Yeah.
actionable that they can do to, like you said, that 3 times harder than a man?
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the
Yeah.
hacks to get
Yeah.
that done?
I would say be willing to get your hands dirty. I mean, obviously, uh, we all wear gloves now, but be willing to get your hands dirty. Put your hands on things. Be willing to do the amount of work. I mean, there's a lot of women that probably think it's not, super clean or whatever it is, but you can always wash your hands later. So be willing to pick up the equipment and don't be squeamish about it, and be willing to get in there and get your hands dirty. So that's the one thing
Love
is
it.
like, yes, we're working with sewer, but at the end of the day, somebody has to do it. It's such an important part of the world, really. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of getting your hands dirty, you've been at this for 17 years. You've been with Doheny for 4 years. I'm sure you got a ton of stories. So I need a story from Stephanie of something that went wrong under your watch, what you did to fix it, and then what lesson it taught you for you to apply to your future career.
Yeah. So I'm gonna this is prior to my Doheny days, but when I worked for another company previously, we were on site at a wastewater treatment plant for delivery of a piece of equipment, and it was coming off of a crane, and I witnessed the crane fail, and 2,000-pound hose reel fell off of the crane and fell on top of an operator's leg, crushing his leg while we were there to deliver a product. So we were kind of all standing around, and it almost happened in slow motion. The wastewater department was great, though. I mean, the ambulance was there instantly. The guy ended up having to take a couple of years off work, but I saw him recently back at work, walking fine. And I was so happy. And I said, oh my gosh, I was there the day of that accident on site. I, being in wastewater, whether I'm doing a nozzle demo, working out in the field, or watching operators drop a camera that weighs 75 pounds in and out of manhole, I'm always safety minded. Like, is something going to go wrong? I mean, what are you going to do if something falls? What do you do if something breaks? You're in a pretty much a dangerous situation all the time, and you have to have safety policies in place to make sure things don't go wrong. And in that particular day, something did go wrong. But again, I was so grateful to see that he was okay. And it ended up being the crane operator's fault. Nobody else was at fault at that time. It was a bad setup from the crane. So luckily, as a vendor on site, witnessing that, it wasn't something that, although you feel it's your product and you feel somewhat responsible, it didn't end up being my responsibility. It was a faulty crane setup. So I was, it was a big weight off my shoulder. In fact, I still have the pictures of that day on my phone because I took pictures on the site just to say, okay, I'm here on site. I witnessed this happened. So that was really one of the scariest things I had ever seen on the job. So, but luckily that guy's okay.
Yeah. Thankfully, he's okay.
And one thing I just want to say too is I really think that anytime something goes wrong, it's an opportunity to learn, right? So if something goes wrong on the job, or with something you're doing, if you're operating or you're demoing, it really gives you perspective to learn from it. And I really learned that day, to look at things from a different perspective and really just say, okay, how safe are we being? Are we covered all our bases? So yeah, definitely a learning experience.
The reason why I like asking that question to get stories is because even if I'm not operating around a crane and it's not a 2,000-pound hose reel, it'll still make me think, oh shoot, Stephanie had this incident happen years ago. What am I doing today where I can be a little bit more safe? If the crane operator might have had a better setup or a better, lay, then things would have ended better. It just makes me, I think it makes everybody go, okay, let me slow down. Let me make sure everything's good to go before we actually operate this thing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Okay. So I could tell you like to keep up with the times. I could tell you're kind of progressive and innovative. And since you've been at this for some time, you could just say, I know everything. I know what, I know what everybody's buying. I know what everybody's not buying. I know how to operate everything. But what keeps Stephanie's fire lit to keep your sword sharp? What's your personal and professional development regimen like to keep up with the times, to keep up with what's innovative?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things in the camera world, I'll speak specifically, in my 17 years, of selling sewer products and sewer cameras, the technology has just changed so much. I remember the first ever sewer camera that I sold was black and white, and it had a little VHS recorder built right onto it. You plug the VHS in and then record, and a grainy picture, all black and white. So that was still popular when I started 17 years ago. So to watch the development to color, to CD recording, to USB recording, to now the technology that's out as far as everything is moving towards 1080p resolution, towards 4K resolution, and everything as far as like the inspection side of CCTV for sewer lines is becoming data driven, and I love it. I love the technology. People that know me and work with me know that some of my favorite data is of spiders and cockroaches inside of the sewer and what they look like in high definition. So it's absolutely fascinating to me. So I really am like a technology driven person. I love it. And with some of the stuff that's out there now, you can zoom in and count the tentacles on a cockroach. And why is that important, right? Why do people care about looking at HD sewage? And the answer is you're making really expensive decisions based upon what you're looking at in the pipe. So your grainy black and white or your grainy standard definition video of days past, it just isn't cutting it anymore. You want to be able to get in there. You want to know exactly what you're looking at. You want to know what kind of decisions you need to make, because you're making $1 million decisions based upon pipeline inspection. And you're spending a lot of money to inspect those pipes. So for me, technology, learning about what the latest and greatest is and keeping up on the times as far as that really excites me. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Whew, tentacles and cockroaches. That's new to me.
I would love to send you one of my videos, because I absolutely.
Please don't.
Or you can follow me on my LinkedIn, because I do post them there too. I have some really neat spiders and this creepy crawly stuff in the pipes.
I bet. So let's play the futuristic game. Where do you see in 50 years from now the sewer camera industry going? Like, if you could wave a magic wand, like what could we do today to innovate that for 50 years from now?
Well, we already know that what's changing right now in the pipeline inspection world is the creation of AI and AI for coding. So we know that over the last couple of years has gotten more and more popular. So the thing about AI, right? So these AI databases are created by municipalities throughout the country and the world that are feeding their data. So they're going out and collecting data, they're coding it themselves to NASCO standards. They're then sending data to these companies, these web companies across the world that are creating these AI database. And they're already created. They've been collecting data for 10 years, let's say. So the data is then fed in through this robot that has created the ability to self-code. So what we're seeing now is, right now there's companies that do it where you send your data off to it and then they plug it in their database. The video goes down the pipe, it flashes, and then self-codes and enter the data themselves. So right now it's not quite there, but I think in the next 10 years, everything's going to be automated that way. So it's going to be the operator simply dropping the higher end piece of equipment that has the resolution to be able to work with the AI in the pipe, letting it go from point A to point B, pulling it out. A robot or AI is going to code that and put all the information to a universal standard so everybody knows exactly what they're looking for. So right now with coding, it's taking a tremendous amount of time, and everything is, for the most part, being coded to the NASCO standard. If you're familiar with that, or if not, I can touch on that. But the NASCO standard is a standard of coding that most people are using across the United States. So everything's coded to that. It takes a long time to code. So removing the operator from having to do that piece of it is going to be just extremely efficient, right, going forward. Wow. So we're really seeing that. And then higher end technologies with better resolution, and then AI, and it's really just going to be game changing for the industry.
Yeah, it'll probably take so much time out of the ordeal.
So much time, cost savings, proactive versus a reactive approach of getting your system done in a shorter amount of time. Now, I still think that it's not going to eliminate the operator, right? At the end of the day, somebody still has to physically get something into the sewer. However, if the systems get smaller, or if they get, however they're going to change as far as the hardware side of it, you're still going to have to get it into the sewer, right? So it's just going to take one piece out of the puzzle. Yeah. Gotcha.
When you're out in the field, or even when you're on calls, you're getting emails and stuff, what is something that you wish you could tell more people, or even more of your potential customers, about what Jack Doheny does? Like, what's a question that you feel like you don't get that you wish you could just say, "Hey guys, we do this also, or we can solve this problem for you"? What would that
Yeah,
be?
I mean, I think that's the other side of it is like again, I'm going to go back to this technology driven approach. And as far as what I do in the area that I'm in, as far as cameras, I really want to tell people, hey, there's a better way to do it. You can move to a proactive program instead of a reactive program today by changing some of the technologies that you have. And I think a lot of times municipalities say, well, we've always been doing it this way forever, and this is the way we do it, which is this is an attitude across the board, right? But guess what? There's a better way to do it. And, I really want to tell people, if you don't reach out to me, reach out to some of these other manufacturers and these other companies that have the ability to really show you what a data-driven program looks like for pipeline inspection. And then also with Jack Doheny as a whole, with sewer cleaners and things like that, I mean, same thing. Our sewer cleaners are moving to much more technology built into those that ever were before. So I think overall, looking at what is the latest and greatest in the marketplace instead of just buying the same thing that you've always bought. So yeah.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
You're part of CWEA. Can you talk about your involvement with CWEA, what you do with them, and
Yeah.
then also kind of give not a sales pitch, but like, let's say a youngster's coming out of high school, college, they want to get into the wastewater industry. They want to get pictures of roaches and tentacles and stuff. How would you, like, what's the value for them to join an organization, association like CWEA?
Absolutely. So, okay, two parts. I'll talk about myself and CWEA. I have been around CWEA since 2006 as a vendor, obviously exhibiting, because they have a huge, a vendor group where people come in and exhibit at different trade shows and things like that. So I've been involved in that way for a very long time. But when I started to work for Doheny, they really gave me the freedom to volunteer. And that was one thing about Doheny. They really do allow you to volunteer and get involved with these organizations. So day one, I started volunteering for CWEA October 2018 and started volunteering with the local section in San Diego. I'm from San Diego County. So through the years, I've moved up. I'm the current treasurer right now with the San Diego County local section. I'm the incoming vice president. I've had multiple other committee roles with the San Diego section too. So I'm pretty involved at the local section level. And then this year I was nominated to the state board. So I'm kind of a double dipper. I am the first year director from the South on the treasurer track, which means I'll be the treasurer for the state in 3 years. So I'm on the state board. There's 17 members on the state board that come from all different locations and then have a specific role, but I'm on the executive track, so I will be on the executive level in a couple years for the state, which is super exciting. So it's a whole new ball game, moving from a local section to representing the organization as a whole. So, and most people don't do both at the same time, but I'm going to figure out how to do it, I swear. Yeah. So that's my involvement with CWA, but I also volunteer at the annual conference, and I've taken on other committee roles. I'd like to be involved with collection system, the Southern section collection system. I mean, that's really what my kind of, I guess, pride and joy is, collection systems. And that's what I've always worked with. So I volunteer with those committees. I also volunteer for the Tri-State Seminar, which is not, it's somewhat part of CWA, but not. It's 3 different states that come together as an organization. So I volunteered for them for the last couple of years too, just kind of for fun. So that's my involvement. CWA as a whole is the largest member agency for WEF. And it's 10,000 plus members across the state. It's considered a voluntary certification organization, right? And by voluntary, it means your employer will tell you whether it's voluntary or not. You know, most employers and most municipalities that are in wastewater, especially collections, are requiring certification through CWA. So if you're somebody new in high school coming in and you want to be involved with wastewater, CWA has an amazing students and young professional committee that works specifically reaching out to students. And then throughout the state, there's different community colleges where you can take wastewater courses and then kind of get your way in that way. It's harder than it used to be. Honestly, it used to be that you could get out of high school, find a job at a wastewater treatment plant, find a job at a city, now they really want to see certification first, right, before they hire. So there's lots of different programs to do that. So I would really suggest getting on the CWEA website and reaching out to the Student and Young Professional Committee. And they have different guidelines and approaches on how to help really young people that want to get into this industry. So yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that answer. I always like to dig into workforce development because that's my passion.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see that's working out there or not working out there in regards to bringing on good younger talent to kind of backfill the talent that's aging out? What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of young people getting involved. We have a young person committee on our committee at the San Diego section too, and we're going out to colleges and reaching out and trying to get people involved. So we're definitely needing to fill that gap in the workforce. It's a learning curve though. And for me I've worked with guys my whole career that are all retiring this year, and there's all these new faces. So it's getting to know kind of a whole new generation. So it's definitely been kind of a learning curve. I mean, we are seeing new people come in and young people come in. I would say it's a great career to get into. And I mean, I love being in wastewater. And I think once they get here, they're going to be stuck. So
yeah, totally. All right. Let's say Stephanie is commissioned to put up a billboard, and this billboard is going to be in the most trafficked area of San Diego. What ask of your community in regards to wastewater, wastewater, would you put on this billboard that maybe the cities or the municipal guys can't ask? Like, what would you ask of the community?
Well, that's a tough question. See, I would say be patient. You know, you need to be patient with these workers. I think a lot of them, it's kind of like they're the invisible man, right? These wastewater workers out here are the invisible man. The community doesn't really notice them until there's absolutely a problem, right? This is something we talked about last week in our CWEA workshop. It's like they do all this work. There's no real praise for them. If you see somebody out there working in the sewer lines, I mean, be respectful, be thankful to them. You know, we're frontline workers. We're essential workers out here and doing a very essential job, which a lot of people don't even realize it. Again, the face of wastewater is kind of like the invisible man. And that's how we kind of talk about it in CWEA. Sure. It's like, there's no real praise. If you're a firefighter or if you're a policeman, you're a hero. But if you're a sewer worker or a water worker,
you're in the
they
way.
don't even know you exist. So I don't know, something to that effect. Like, let's honor these people that are out here actually doing one of the most important jobs that there is, right? Cleaning up sewer, taking care of water, taking care of infrastructure. These are the people that are really, really important. So
totally. 100% agree with
I don't know if I answered that correctly, but that was my answer. So
that's perfect. All right, let's say I'm coming to town. You're in San Diego, right?
Yeah.
Let's say I'm coming to San Diego and I text you ahead of time and I say, Stephanie, send me to the spot where I can get the best burger in San Diego. Where are you going to send me?
Okay. Well, I'm not going to send you for a burger, and here's why. So
okay.
I'm vegan, plant-based, so I'm not going to send you for a burger, which is probably very strange. I've only met a handful of other plant-based people in the wastewater industry, but there's a reason for me being that way. And I live about 25 minutes from a city called Oceanside, which is the northernmost coastal city in San Diego County that borders Camp Pendleton, right? And Oceanside has spent so much money, props to Oceanside, on economic development, putting in new restaurants, really nice. They put in brand new Hyatt hotels that are overlooking the pier. And years ago, Oceanside had a little bit of a shady reputation. And I'll say that because I spent my whole childhood there. But they've really cleaned it up and put a lot of really nice restaurants. And one of my favorites is called The Plot. And it is a plant-based restaurant. It is a sustainable zero waste restaurant, the first sustainable zero waste restaurant in San Diego County. And they are doing really great things over there. They reuse every possible component, from their vegetable peelings to anything like that. It goes back in the ground, or they reuse it. And it's kind of a high-end, plant-based, unique experience. So I highly recommend it to anybody who is coming to coastal North San Diego County.
Love it. The Plot, Oceanside. All right. This part of the show, I like to leave a space for you to thank mentors that you had along your journey. And then also offer a word of inspiration and motivation to your industry counterparts.
Yeah. So, one of my mentors, she's semi-retired now, but I'm going to say Lisa Haller. She worked for a company called West Coast Safety, which is now called West Coast Equipment and Supply. And she was kind of my first supervisor, first boss in the industry, and taught me almost everything I know. So, at that time, I've learned a lot since then. I think she's either consulting or semi-retired now, but a lot of people knew her. She worked for a couple different companies in what we go in Northern California, and then started her own business down in Southern California. And she's in her probably late 50s now. But she was the only woman doing what she was doing in Southern California, and to get to work for her and kind of meet everybody and get my feet wet in the industry through that, she was a great mentor to me. So, so definitely her. The other person that's really a highlight in my world is somebody named Jeff Rager, who works for Roush Electronics. He's the national sales manager for Roush, which is a competitive brand to what I sell now, which is IBOC. And it's hard to want to shout out your competition, but he's a great friend and just overall great guy. Really taught me everything that I learned at the time on high-end sewer cameras and German products and German engineering. And he's still one of my favorite people in the industry. So, yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. And then what would you say to keep motivated, keep inspired, the sales reps out there who are out there fighting the same battles you're fighting? What would you say to keep them motivated?
There's enough business for everybody out here.
Amen.
I say that all the time. So there's enough business for everybody out here. So, I think people get down or they lose a deal. If I lose a deal, I really look at it as, okay, what did I do wrong? Where's the opportunity? How am I going to grow from this? Right? I worked so hard on this. I've lost this deal. How is this going to make me stronger? So I really think there's enough business for everybody, and just keep plugging along. So, I get discouraged too, but at the end of the day, it's a numbers game, right? So as long as I can keep my numbers up and reach my goals and keep going, then I'm doing pretty good. Yeah.
Love your attitude. Love it. All right. So how can we find more about Jack Doheny? Anything you got coming down the pipeline you want to highlight?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are coming up on our 50th anniversary, which is really exciting. We've been in business for 50 years. So that's really exciting. And our brand, JDC, you can see my shirt says JDC. It's short for Jack Doheny Company. So, that's part of our logo now. Again, we've got 16 locations across the United States, and we're one company, one business. Over the last couple of years, we've expanded into the aerial equipment platform. So we are selling a lot of bucket trucks and digger derricks and cable reels, cable pulling reels, all kinds of different equipment for electric utility companies. Nice. Where previously we weren't really known in that marketplace, but we've really, really gone hard for it and have been extremely successful. So if you want to know anything about that, take a look at jackdoheny.com, our website. You can see all the different equipment. I'm a camera specialist. That's what I do. If anybody wants to talk about how to take your program to a progressive versus reactive approach, I'd love to work with people. We work with people all over the country, public works agencies, municipalities, and contractors on camera. And then also going back to certification, Jack Doheny Company has always been pro certification. At our Midwest locations, we offer training courses through DTI, which is Doheny Training Institute. And Doheny Training Institute offers classes on confined space safety. We offer classes on advanced sewer cleaning. And then for NASCO, if you work for a public agency, a public works agency, a municipality, a utility company as an operator, and you want to get PAPC certified, but let's say the funds aren't there, go to nasco.org and apply for the Jack Doheny Company Memorial Scholarship Fund. We give out scholarships all year long. Just hit apply. It's worth $1,075 and it'll cover the class for PACP. So if you're an operator out there and your company may not have the funds towards that type of training, or maybe they're not completely on board, but you want to do it, please apply for our scholarship. So, yeah.
Love it. Love it. Well, Stephanie, thanks for hopping on the Public Works podcast. Thanks for sharing your wealth of information and knowledge. To all the listeners out there, make sure you share this with somebody who you think needs to hear it. Stephanie, any final words before we get out of here?
I would love for anybody to connect with me on LinkedIn, Stephanie Prescott. Come on over to my LinkedIn page. Jack Doheny Company has a LinkedIn page as well, but I always post content. You might see some of my spiders or cockroaches on there. So
Ew.
give me a follow and give me a shout out on LinkedIn.
Love it. Love it. Well, Stephanie, again, thanks for hopping on.
Thank you so
This has
much.
been the Public Works Podcast. Thank you for tuning in.